A point away in the Champions League, coming back from 2-0 down. Sounds okay, doesn't it? Doesn't quite tell the full story. Oh boy. Welcome to next COYS Corner. Just a quick one before we start. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel and click the bell to receive notifications so you can get all your next COYS Corner videos as soon as they come online. Well, that was a terrible performance. We somehow pulled a rabbit out of the hat to salvage a draw, but it really wasn't good. The worst performance of the season, I think so. And the Bournemouth game was bad, but this was, when you consider the level of the opposition as well, this was really bad. Bodo with a better team for most of the match. We started playing maybe for the last 20 minutes or so. We were a little bit better and a few signs of something perhaps, but generally really poor. Obviously great to secure a point, but I think we were very lucky. It isn't one of those where they didn't really create much. They missed a lot of sitters and the scoreline should have been bigger if we're honest with ourselves. But yeah, we take the draw and we move on. But disappointing because a few months ago we came here in the semi-final of the Europa League and we cruised. We cruised it. And I know the context was different, but you know, some of those players played in that match and the pitch at that time wasn't an issue. They dealt with it really well and we were professional. And this time we were just hapless, to be honest. We were terrible. And the performance levels really need to improve now. We need to see the performance levels rise. But at least we're gaining points without playing well. That's the positive we can take out of this match. And there weren't many. So 5 changes from the Wolves game. The heaviest Frank has rotated between the league and the Champions League. I think it showed as well, but I can understand why he's having to make changes. Obviously, he doesn't want people to burn out, and it is a difficult balance. And so far, he's done really well with rotation, so I think it's unfair to be too critical. No Romero was obviously a bit of a blow. We really missed his progressive passing from the back, I thought. That was really obvious in the game. And I thought Kinski might be worth a go in this match. Vicario isn't playing particularly well, and some of his kicking again in this game was awful. And I think it might be time to give Kinski a go. I know his shot stopping might not be quite as good, and I know he's young, but I do wonder whether it's time to give him a chance, if I'm honest. Kudus and Xavi, both on the bench, had me worried about how we'd cope because they offer the creativity, the spark really that we really haven't got in many areas in the team. But as I said, hard to be critical of rotation, and we still had the players there on the bench to bring on. So it was a good enough lineup to at least get a draw and get something out of the game, in my opinion, and certainly not play as badly as we did. So I thought the first half was awful. We were negative in our approach. Our pressing was poor. We sat off a lot of the time. We either couldn't or didn't want to get out. And we treated it like we were playing Barcelona away at the Nou Camp, not Bodo Glimt, with all due respect. It feels like when teams really come at us with high intensity and really swarm us, we struggle to play out. And I think that's in part due to the way we build up and the structure we have in possession. And we've mentioned that before in previous videos, and I'll talk about the horseshoe shape again here, but I really don't think our build-up play is helping us when we build up this 4-2 kind of shape most of the time. We couldn't get near them, to be quite honest with you. They moved the ball far better than we did. They were sharper, they had better movement, and they were stronger in duels too, noticeably more stronger than they were when we played them in the Europa League semi-final. And there was some talk that they'd been working physically, and I think that showed as well in this game. The fact we were pinned in for so long, particularly in the first half and early in the second half, I think shows how much we were struggling on the ball as well to get out of pressure. One early chance fell to Richarlison. Really good work from Bergvall. And Richarlison should have done better. It was really, really poor and summed up his performance, to be honest. It's just not good enough. And he's really got to up his game. Because aside from that Burnley match, maybe the City game where he did some decent hold-up play, I just don't think he's quite at the level we need, and he's got to up his game. We completely neglected the middle of the park again. the build up was predictable. It was relatively slow. It was out to centre backs, out to the fullbacks. Fullback tries to go down the channel into a winger, or ends up coming back and going long, and we lose the second ball on this occasion most of the time. And we turn the ball over really frequently with sloppy passes. And some of that could be down to the pitch. I understand that, and try and give a little bit of a leeway to the players, but the amount of bad passing we saw and the amount of bad touches, it was just really poor. I've got the passing network on the screen here, and here you can see the shape that I'm talking about. You can see that very clear U shape. We're unable to progress the ball and play the ball through the middle of the pitch. And this is something we really have to fix quickly, because teams are going to figure this out, and we're going to have big problems. Because if I was coaching against Spurs, I would use this against us. I would double up on like Kudus, for example, in wide areas, and I'd funnel the play centrally, knowing that Spurs really struggle to move the ball in that area and don't have patterns of play to move the ball through the lines. So something we've really got to work on quickly. I felt like they got more and more threatening as the half went on as well. Obviously culminated in the penalty, which was really poor play from Bentancur diving in. I thought just no need for it. And it was a poor penalty to concede. Thankfully for us, it was an absolutely abysmal penalty. And then soon after, they missed a massive chance in open play as well. They skied over the bar. So their finishing was pretty poor, which was good for us. I thought we were seriously lucky to go in level at half time, though. I think most of us can probably agree on that as well. Let me know in the comments if you do disagree. So the second half started pretty similar, with Bodo on top and us just not doing enough with the ball to try and progress up the pitch and compete in the match, really, for me. We were struggling to build up. We were struggling to create chances. We just looked so lackadaisical and so sluggish in our movement, in our passing. It was really, really hard to watch. I thought their goals were well deserved as well, and we'll look at those now. So you can see here, we've got Johnson on the left here, Porro on the right, and Bodo have the ball here, this guy here. I'll just highlight him for you here, this guy. And he's going to play the ball out left. Now, at the moment, we're in a relatively decent position. There's not too much danger at the moment. Obviously, they're going to get the ball out wide. He's going to have a little bit of space, but we should be able to cope with this. But as the play progresses, you're going to see some really poor defending. Now, Hager gets the ball just here, just inside this kind of field of vision that I've got for Johnson here. And you've got Porro at the top and then Johnson to his right. Now, the fullback is making an overlapping run, and that gives Porro a question. Do I go with the overlap, or do I stay with Hager? Now, at this stage, I don't know what the communication was like. I have a feeling it was pretty poor, because what Johnson should be doing, if we move to the next slide, Johnson should be either saying, I'll take Hager, you cover the overlap, just in Porro's ear, you take the overlap, right? And then Johnson covers the inside. Or Johnson follows the overlap and allows Porro to stay tight on Hager. For me, with where Johnson was positioned, I'd actually say, look, Johnson take Hager, because it comes to the next shot here. Johnson follows Porro. They both inexplicably both go to the same man, leave Hager completely inside on his own, and he buries it into the bottom corner. It's terrible defending from both of them, to be honest. If we look at this shot here, you'll see what I'm talking about. Johnson has this space on the inside covered. And so Porro, as a fullback, has the choice. He doesn't want to leave the overlap completely open for a cutback, right? But he needs to be decisive, and that's the mistake he makes. He should, in my opinion, stick with his man. If he's all else fails, stay with your man. Stay on your man and stop him doing anything. But Johnson can see the play. He can communicate. He can tell Porro exactly what to do. He can say to Porro, look, I've got the inside. Or he can say to Porro, I'll cover the runner on the overlap. And between them, they don't communicate. They both follow in this direction here. They both go down here, which is just crazy, in my opinion, and just leave the space for Hager to come inside onto his stronger foot, which they should know. He's right-footed. So it's really, really bad defending for me from both Porro and Johnson. And I think, despite not being a defender, Johnson needs to take more responsibility here and actually communicate and take charge of this situation, because he can see the entire play unfolding. First goal was really poor, and I don't think we can complain too much with them going ahead. They deserved it. And then I also don't think we can complain too much with the goal we had ruled out shortly after. It was soft, don't get me wrong, but it was silly by Van de Ven. You just don't need to do it. It's just pulling on the sheet, just making the decision easy for the referee. And I agree with you screaming at me down the camera, but this happens all the time and it doesn't give in. I agree. And that is the frustration. It's the lack of consistency around these decisions. But in isolation, I can't complain too much about that being ruled out when Van de Ven was pulling on his shirt like that. I just can't, but I do agree about the lack of consistency. I think we all get frustrated about that. So the second goal we conceded was really poor as well. It actually starts with Xavi with a terrible pass. He plays out here, he just tries to play a pass. It's a lazy pass. It lacks focus considering he'd only just come on as well. It's really poor from him and needs to be sharper on the ball in areas like this. It's obviously very risky when you play the ball sideways like that when they've got so many numbers. And he probably should have just clicked the ball over the top because we had a player out wide right in the touchline. That was the easy pass that avoids the danger as well. But once we lose it, they get into this position here. Dangerous, but we actually do relatively well to kind of suffocate them and force them wide. And we end up in this position here. Now we have 7 players in shot there, and they've got 1 player on the ball. The first bit of poor defending is the fact we allow him to get a crossing, but it doesn't matter because we actually cut it out. And it ends up with Bentancur receiving the ball. After this, it's just really indicative of how bad our build-up play and possession play is at the moment, because we have numbers there, right? And Bodo are not swarming us. It's not difficult to play out of this situation. What ends up happening is Sarr gets it from Bentancur and Sarr takes the easy pass. He just passes it sideways into Spence instead of passing it through the lines back to Benny or into Porro. And then Spence takes the easy option and goes backwards to Van de Ven instead of playing forward to Porro or forward into Bentancur, which put us away from pressure straight away and allow us to play out and move forward with the ball. Instead, by playing so safe, so risk-averse and going backwards all the time, we end up somehow, from the positions I've just showed you, in this position, where Van de Ven now is boxed in by 2 Bodo players and has no real choice other maybe to smash the ball out of play or try and curl it down the left here, or, as he does, go backwards to Vicario, whose kick is terrible, and goes skies right up in the air. And then Spence makes a lazy touch, which loses possession. Ball goes across to Hauger again. Porro gets done. It happens, but he was poor defensively in this match. He gets done by Hauger, who was really good for them. Brilliant little shimmy to the left and fantastic finish from him. But really, really poor defending from us. And I think that really shows that goal, how bad we are in possession at the moment, particularly in this match. I mean, how can you go from having 6-7 players around the ball and only 2 Bodo players and not be able to play out and keep the ball? It's not good enough. And it's got to change. It really has. It was alarming how many chances they had in this game, because I think in most matches this season, we've actually restricted the opposition relatively well and our defending's been better. But in this game, we didn't defend well and they did create a lot of chances. And it really angered me. We were really poor. And they, with better finishing, would have won comfortably. So we couldn't even take from the match that we were good defensively like we had been, because it just wasn't there. I thought we looked better when Kudus and Xavi settled into the match and when Palhinha came on to stabilise midfield as well. And then I thought we looked even better when Gray and Udogi came on. And then with those all on the pitch, we looked a lot better and we competed much better. Yes, an element of them obviously holding on to a lead as well, but I do think our performance level increased watching it back. Obviously, we managed to get a goal back. And we had the play from Kudus where he cut the ball back to Porro and Porro fizzed the ball across. And Mickey made a really good header, Mickey van der Ven, into that bottom corner. Good to see him score a header, actually. He should be scoring more of those with his size and his frame. So that was good to get back in the match. I thought Kudus tried to make things happen. He can be a bit frustrating at times with his head down and he can lose the ball a bit as he did. But at least he tries to make things happen. And he does make things happen. He creates chances. Create that chance that Odobert hit the bar from. And he was causing them problems and making them retreat and put them on the back foot. So I was happy with him overall. Xavi, aside from that early bad pass, he then started to get on the ball. He started to settle in possession and control possession, get into areas where he could pick it up and spray it about and just give us a little bit of rhythm in possession. And he helped us, and he sprayed the ball out for a couple of the chances we had as well. He moved the ball quickly, so that was good. Destiny offered more than Spence when he came on, and we looked more potent on that side of the pitch when he was on as well. I thought. That said, he had one opportunity where, from Odebear's head off the bar, where he should have just played the ball first time again. And again, he took a touch. We've really got to work on that with him to get him to move the ball quicker. And I thought Gray was really good in this cameo. It was like 8 minutes plus injury time, but so poor was our performance. I think there are genuine shouts he could be one of our best players on the night in 8 minutes plus injury time. That's how bad we were. He made those positive runs again, and I'll show you now with the goal. So the second goal, the equaliser, was actually a really nice move. Ball out to Kudus, plays a lovely little touch inside to Porro here. Porro picks it up and kind of spins, swivels, and Gray makes that really good run inside right like he did against Doncaster. Runs into the box. Porro plays a lovely little pass through to him. Gray makes that run, as I've said, and then he puts the ball across goal. Those low fizzed crosses forces yet another OG. OG, top scorer. We love OG. We really do. But to be honest, as I've said before, you put balls like this in, low crosses. I've always said to people that those crosses, false own goals, false chaos in the box, and you'll score so many from them. Even if it doesn't directly go in, it will spray out to you and you can smash it into the back of the net. So long may it continue us putting balls like this into the box, those low fizz crosses, because I think we'll continue to benefit from own goals. One plus point to take from the game is that we came back to get a point from 2-0 again. It's obviously the third comeback in a row, I think. So obviously Brighton and then Brighton and Wolves, and Bodo, obviously not including Doncaster, but done really well to come back from losing positions like this. And it proves there's at least some mental strength in our team and resilience. But I think on this occasion we did get a bit luckier than we did in other matches because they missed a lot of chances, and Lady Luck was shining really on us. Overall, I think we take the point and run. Frank has to sort our possession game because it's becoming a real issue. It's glaring. It's more and more frustrating with every game that goes by that we don't seem to be doing anything about it. And I don't think we're going to see the best out of certain players, Kudus, Xavi, Bergval, being played too high up, until we sort this possession out and we get better structure to play through midfield and not just play down the sides and have this very basic build-up shape. So hopefully we can start working on that. As the games go by, we'll start to see improvements. We've got to get the spacing between players closer together when we've got the ball. We've got to get more triangles going so we can knock the ball about quickly, and more associative play as well when we're moving forward. You know, linking up with each other and making little runs. There was a tiny snippet of Xavi feeding the ball into Odebear and getting it back, and they're the kind of things we're just not doing enough. A lot of improvement needed in our movement in attack as well. So that's part of it, and we've really got to work on that. I'm a strong believer that eventually results will turn against you if the performances don't improve, if you don't start producing better performances. And so we need to really up that game now. But as we come into a much harder run of fixtures in the next month or so. So fingers crossed we can do that. Leeds away next in the league. Tough game away at Ellen Road in front of a vociferous crowd. We will need to perform much better than we did in this match, that's for sure. If we're going to get anything from the game, we've got to up our levels. And hopefully we can do that, but it's not going to be easy because we just travelled in midweek, and we have to remember that. Let me know what you thought about the Bodo match. Can anyone help me pick a man of the match? Because I'm struggling. Like I said, I seriously considered even giving it to Haugo, who's on their team, or even to Archie Gray, who was on for like 8 minutes plus injury time. So if you've got a man of the match, let me know. Were you concerned about this performance? Any other things you've noticed in this match? Shout me out in the comments below. And please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to receive notifications. And as always, come on you Spurs!